Alright guys, good afternoon and welcome to another TA update. It's just coming up to 2 p.m. here in the UK and today is the 27th of July 2022. So I'll just do the usual checks, make sure that the audio is working and that the video is working. And it seems like we're all good to go. So let's crack straight on. Just make sure that everything is recording. And yes, we're live. Okay, cool. So we start off here with the stock market heat map, and you can see that the great majority of it is in the red with anticipation towards the FOMC meeting in a few hours. I'll go into more depth as to when and how and everything that's going to happen regarding that. But you can see it's a mixed bag. I mean, some of it is in the green, but the great majority of it is in the red, like you see here. On the cryptocurrency heat map, everything's looking very positive in green, with a few exceptions, of course. But so it's a mixed bag, but it does look like everybody's looking very, very positive on the cryptocurrency world. So I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, looking at the calendar for today, we do have the FOMC meeting at 7 p.m. UK time. I think that is 6 p.m. UTC, I believe. And the long and the short of that is that basically everybody's expecting 75 basis points in terms of interest rates hikes. So what the FOMC meeting will do and what the statement will do is basically just advertise or announce how much they're hiking the interest rates by to tackle inflation. The last CPI print was quite high, so obviously the inflation is very high, and there's loads of talk about a recession looming, and in fact that the recession is already here, and kind of the Federal Reserve could kind of been downplaying that, but the CPI print didn't lie, and it was really, really high. And of course this kind of caused the markets to tank a little bit. However, when the Federal Reserve in the last couple of weeks announced that some of the officials announced that there was no way they were going to hike it to 100 basis points, then the market rallied. So basically what is priced in and what's baked into the price is really a 75 basis points hike for today. Obviously the quantitative tightening, which is basically the opposite of quantitative easing, which is when they were printing money, and they have been printing money for the last 14 years. The quantitative tightening is going to exacerbate, or it's going to double basically for the month of September, and also the runoff of the balance sheet, basically where they're going to be selling assets in order to rebalance their balance sheet, if that makes any sense. So the expectation, like I said, is 75 basis points. Anything that diverges from that is either going to be, it's going to cause volatility without a shadow of a doubt, but it's going to be either bullish if it's less than 75 basis points, or it's going to be, it's going to be bearish if it's more than 75 basis points, and it's going to be bullish if it's less than 75 basis points, okay? But 75 basis points is kind of the expected rate, and if the Federal Reserve comes out and says that it's going to be 75 basis points, a 0.75% of a interest rate hike, then I do expect the price of things to be going up, just because it was kind of already priced, it was already priced in and baked into the price, if you like. So it really kind of largely depends on the expectation and more importantly of what is not expected, right? So if they come out very aggressive and they say, well, the CPI print was really high, I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive, and we need to raise the interest rates by 100 by 1%, by 100 basis points, then I think the markets will tank because everybody's expecting 75 basis points. On the other hand, if they come out and say, yeah, 75 basis points is what we're going with, or even 50 basis points because we've been quite aggressive in the past, then of course the markets are going to rally. In my personal opinion, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm definitely not an expert in terms of macroeconomics, but this is just from observation and from what I've been reading around. Okay, so just please take it with a pinch of salt. Like I said, I'm not an expert in these matters, but that's kind of my understanding of it and my interpretation of it. So now looking at the charts, we start off with the S&P, and now looking here at the weekly chart, for example, on the S&P, you can see, like I said, that the markets have been responding positively to the fact that some of these Officials on the Federal Reserve said that there was no way they're going to raise it by 100 basis points. As a result, the market rallied to above previous resistance, which was this value area low of the 2021 VWAP. Right, so we've accepted back inside of value. In fact, if we look at this on the daily, you can see that the market kind of rallied above resistance, came back and tested this as confirmed now as support, and it wants to look for higher prices. This is, this is positive, and there's no, we've got to go with what the chart's telling us, and there's no two ways about it. This is definitely positive. This was previous resistance. The market came up, came back, tested this as support, and now it's looking for higher prices. So, regardless of what anyone says, this is definitely positive. But this line is the line in the sand, and if we go below that, then I think we're going to print new lows. Okay, so we go below this one. So in terms of higher prices, where is resistance next? Well, of course, it's still around about 4,000 basis points, 4,100 if you like. This is basically the low volume area here, and it's the edge of a high volume cluster, which is a previous balance area, right? So if we get acceptance above 4,067 points or 4,100 points, which is basically perfect confluence here with the value area low of the current year's VWAP, right? So basically, if we get accepted back inside the value of this year, we could potentially be going to test the midpoint, which is basically the 2021 VWAP close here, right? Which will undoubtedly cause strong resistance. It's also the point of control of this range, right? And potentially even the other edge of balance around about 4,250 points. Okay, so that's basically the resistance levels if we are to go to the upside. It's also worth noting that because we are in a downtrend, as you can see, this is a high, this is a lower high, yet another lower high here. We've been printing kind of like lower highs and lower lows since, right? So now we've kind of like, we had a little sort of like rally above the previous resistance, which is this one here, right? So, and we've come back and confirmed that the previous resistance is now support. So now we need to break market structure, right? So in fact, this is not a very accurate drawing. Basically, this high here, like I've been saying the whole of last week and for quite some time now, this high here is the one that will break on the higher time frame the market structure, right? So even if we do go all the way up here, right, and manage to stay above value, okay, we don't actually break the market structure until we get to these levels here, right? We need to break above this previous high, right? As far as we are concerned, and market structure is concerned, we could come all the way up here, find that this is resistance, and then still go and print new lows, because essentially we've not broken market structure on the higher time frame. So we have to keep that in mind, and this could be literally just a corrective move on a bigger downtrend, if you like, okay? Just like we've seen here so many times, basically, this is the move, this is the correction, this is the move, this is the correction, this is the move, and this could be clearly a correction, okay? So you have to keep that in mind. The only thing that is definitely sure is that we are going to see some volatility today, okay? I'm not sure if it's going to be to the upside or to the downside, but this is why I'm giving you the levels of resistance first, and then I'm going to give you the levels of support. Now, for levels of support, like I said, this level here is very it's really important, okay? It's this previous level of resistance. It's already been confirmed as support, but we could break through it, okay? Now, if we trade through that and we go lower, like I said, I think we're going to be printing new lows. And that would have been the bear market rally, the corrective move, if you like, and we're going and print new lows here. Now, in terms of support, like I said, this level here is an important one. This is the 2020 value area high. Okay, if we get accepted back inside of this value area, which is basically this whole region here, right? So imagine that this is market profile. The VWAP close for 2020 is right about where the point of control is. And if you can imagine, if we accept back inside of this value, then the next potential move is all the way down here to 3,300 points. Okay, but let's just keep in mind that there is a low volume node right about here, 3,600 points, and that's basically the next level of support if we do indeed break below this previous resistance here. Okay, below the 2020 value area low. 2021 value area low, okay? So we could be going all the way back down here to 3,600 points, and then maybe have a little corrective move, And then if not, if we don't have that corrective move, we could potentially accept inside of this value here. And if we do accept it inside of this value, then of course we'll be looking at round about this point here, which is round about 3,300 points for the next level of support. Okay, and this would be indicative basically that there's no change in terms of dynamic or market structure, and we're still definitely in a bear market, and nothing's changed basically. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. All right, in terms of weekly levels, if we were to mark out the weekly closes, we do have some levels of support here around about 3,864 points, and another one at 3,822 points. Okay, these are all levels. Like I said, this is a previous level of resistance. This has already been confirmed as support, but if we cannot get back above 3,960 points, right, or even get to that 4,100 points, then we are likely to come lower and perhaps even have little sort of corrective bounces here, something like that, right, before we go to the new lows, right? So I don't want to overcomplicate things too much. I want to keep this on a higher time frame so that you guys can see what's going on, right? So in terms of lower time frames, it's very clear that we've broken a few highs here on the local highs here on the smaller time frames on the 4 hour, and more importantly, you can see that this level here, which was a previous month's view at close, had been acting as resistance for quite some time, right? We broke above that and we came back, and look at where we bounced exactly there, right? We bounced exactly at the previous level of resistance, right? So again, this is, this is significant, and it's definitely a sign that the bulls want prices to go up. Now, with this volatility incoming, we're not sure exactly what's going to happen, but if the prices do go up, then you know already where to look. And we're basically looking at around about 4,000 points, 4,100 points, right? Like I showed you here on the weekly chart, which is around about this low volume node here. And if I was to mark that out, it's round about here, where the value area of the previous month, value area high of the previous month is round about here, 4,100 points. Okay, so let's see if the price actually has enough legs to get all the way up to here. This would be very bullish for Bitcoin, of course, because the S&P is closely correlated to Bitcoin, in case you didn't know. So this would be very bullish, going all the way up to 4,100 points, but that's definitely resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, if we can break above these previous highs, like I was saying on the higher time frame, that's a break in market structure on the higher time frame. Until then, there's nothing really that shows that. It could be just a corrective move to go all the way up to here, print a lower high, and then continue lower, just like I showed you on the higher time frames. But I'm just showing you here on the lower time frame, so it kind of makes sense, and especially because it's so accurate here, a previous level of resistance being broken and then retested here on the back test as a level of support. Okay, so this is bullish without a shadow of a doubt. So market's looking bullish leading into the FOMC meeting. There's no signs of bearishness as such, unless you look on a really higher time frame, on the weekly chart for instance, where we've been in a constant downtrend since since the beginning of the year, I guess. So that's basically what I'm seeing here on the higher time frames. If I was to put, for example, I was playing around with a fib pull, and this is essentially just a what's it called again? Fib speed resistance fan, right? So it's basically looking at Fibonacci retracements and Fibonacci resistance in diagonals as a fan, so it kind of incorporates the time aspect of it. So what is interesting to see here is that the value area high of the previous week has perfect confluence with the 75 mark here, which is usually very strong resistance. So we could expect, or we could even see, a strong rally here going, it's a strong wick all the way to 3,980 points, let's say 4,000 points, right, and then still continue lower. So one thing that I know that tends to happen in these markets, and especially around about FOMC meetings and big events like that, is that usually we have a large whipsaw, right? So if I was to put this back on the weekly chart, on the 1 hour chart with the weekly view up, is that we could potentially see a large whipsaw, something like this, and then back like that, and then straight back to value again, right? So, you know, my advice to you is perhaps stay out of the market and just let it settle and see what happens after the day close. But there is potential that we could reach higher, go to that level of resistance, right, and then just continue lower, right? Just as there is potential to be going lower first, maybe even as low as 3,800 points, and then continue higher. So we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, volatility is expected, and I expect a big whipsaw leading into that around about 7 o'clock. So 6 p.m. with UTC. So just keep that in mind and just be really, really cautious. Like I said, on the local and sort of lower time frames, the S&P is looking a little bit on the bullish side, right? We're above the weekly and the daily VWAPs. We're also above the monthly. We've retested the previous month's value area, previous month's VWAP close and previous resistance, and we confirmed it as support. So we could be heading higher, but we are facing really strong resistance with this low volume node here, around about 4,000 points. So just have to keep all of this in mind, okay? So it's looking bullish, but we could potentially just be in a corrective move and we could go much lower. So you've got levels of resistance and levels of support. So let's move on to Bitcoin a little bit quick. I hope everybody's clear on what's going on there. So again, we start here with the Bitcoin chart on the weekly. Now on the weekly chart, it's perhaps not as visible here on Bybit, but if I look, for example, on the Coinbase one, you can see that we've tested the previous value area low, sorry, the developing year value area low. We tested it here, which is perfect confluence with this low volume node here, okay, and we confirmed that this is resistance, right? So that's one sign that we could perhaps be heading lower, right? And also, I've highlighted this before. Let me take this off. Usually we tend to print highs, we sweep the highs and we continue lower, right? Just like we've done here. We had some previous highs, we've swept the highs and we continued lower. Now we have some highs, we've swept the highs here. Are we going to continue lower, or is this time different? So you have to keep all of this crap in mind, right? So let's go back to the Bybit chart, and you can see here basically we've printed a few new levels. So I'm just going to print them on, and the weekly levels now. This is a 3-day chart. I'm going to put the weekly chart on for just a second. Right, so you can see that we've got a new weekly level around about here, $22,500, and we've got another weekly level just below us at around about $20,779. So let's say 20,800. From the weekly to the daily, and you can see that once we got below the high of the weekly there, of the previous week, of the last week's high there, or the weekly close, if you like, we'd come and test all the way back down to the previously weekly level, right? So we could be ranging here, right, between these two weekly levels. So somewhere between 20,800 and 22,600. Potentially we could be doing that, right? So, but the thing that I want to highlight to you is that we've definitely broken above this previous level of resistance, but we couldn't stay above it, right? We kind of broke back inside of this previous range. Right, so this is more visible on the 4-hour chart, so I'll just show you that in just a second. Okay, so this is significant, and I'll explain to you guys in just a second. But it's also worth noting that, like I said, here on the daily, you can see that we are in between two weekly levels. Okay, so this one obviously is going to be support right about $20,800, and $22,500 is a level of resistance. Okay, clearly, just to simplify things on the higher time frame, right, a break above this weekly level here would signal for me a strong bullish momentum, and I think we could be going higher all the way to 28,500. However, inability to break above this means to me that this is a short position around about $22,000, okay, and we could be heading a lot lower for the lows of the range, basically, where this is the range, and we could be heading a lot lower, right? So around about 22,000, 22,500 for resistance, and around about 20,800 for support, but that this support could be very easily broken if we fail to get above that. So let's have a look at this on the 4-hour chart. I don't want to make this too complicated. Right, but here on the 4-hour chart, you can see that basically we got stumped here on this pump on the previous month's VWAP close, right? So we got stopped there. We couldn't get back above $24,300 or whatever it was that we reached, and then we kind of like came back. This is the current month's value area high, right? And you can see that the price had been kind of bouncing on this level for quite some time, right? It bounced here, but we couldn't get back above it. We got acceptance inside it, tried to get back above it. We couldn't, we got rejected. So we're now rotational inside the current month's value, right? So we're kind of hovering here at the monthly VWAP right now, and we've broken above, we've broken below, we've broken above yet again, and it looks like we're above the monthly VWAP as it stands right now, okay? But even if we do see a rally around about $22,600, right? This is going to be a significant level of resistance moving forward. If we can break above this, then I think we've got room to move further up, right? But if we cannot break above this, this is a good entry for a short, right? And I'll be targeting these lows down here, right? Around about $19,600. Which has got perfect confluence with that low volume node. And to be honest, if we go all the way down there to $19,600, I do expect the price to get a little bit lower. I mean, we could just come here and kind of bounce and continue this kind of trend here. If I was to put a trend line there, so let me just see, I've got a parallel channel, right? So we could be going all the way down there, bounce on this kind of on the bottom of the trend line, and then, you know, even move all the way back up to 22,000 and continue trending sort of like this. But I don't want to overcomplicate things too much, right? This is basically the target to the downside. If we cannot get back above this value area high of the developing month, okay, of the current month, right? So that's basically the target, and obviously we take profits at the monthly VWAP here. So that's basically what I'm seeing here on the 4-hour chart with the monthly, right? So again, I just want to make this clear for you guys, especially if you guys have not been here long enough. I'm looking at the yearly VWAP on this one. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on the 3-day chart here. So just to make this very clear, so this is the yearly VWAP, this is the quarterly VWAP here, this is the monthly VWAP, and this is the weekly VWAP, right? Just so that we're clear of what we're doing here, right? So on the 4-hour chart, which I just showed you, it shows us that we're basically at value, at the monthly value. We're exactly at the monthly VWAP, and value area high should be the resistance. Now, I want you to see this on the weekly chart, which is basically, like I said, this is not the weekly chart, this is the weekly VWAP, right? And this is the 30-minute chart. I'm going to put this on the hourly just to make it a little bit clearer. Remember that this is the weekly value, right? The weekly VWAP. Now, as you can see, we are below the weekly VWAP, right? We'd been on this rally, we rallied above, and we'd been above the weekly value area high for quite some time here, right? Once we got accepted below, we tested the weekly VWAP, we came and tested the value area high, we confirmed that this was resistance, right? So we fell back inside and below the weekly VWAP. VWAP was resistance, came back to value area low, confirmed that as support, came back to the weekly VWAP, that's resistance. We fell outside of value, and obviously a new week starts around about here, right, around about here, and then we fell below the previous week value area low, right? Couldn't get back above the weekly resistance there. We did here with a big slingshot of it, kind of like a retest of the previous week value area low, and we couldn't get above that, right? So on the lower time frames, this to me looks a little bit more bearish than the S&P, for example, right? So where's the next level of resistance? Well, in my personal opinion, of course, it's round about here, around about $22,000, which is the current week's value area high, but also the previous week's value area low, which is sitting at around about $22,150, right? So do you see how it all kind of starts coming together here? If we're looking at these levels here, if we can get above $22,200, then I think we've got a strong possibility of going all the way to 22,500, which is basically the value area high of the monthly here, and potentially even $23,500. Okay, but which is where the previous week weekly level is. So, you know, without wanting to be too kind of like making this a little bit too complex, basically what I'm saying is that even if we do have plenty of volatility to the upside, right, if we see a rally, this level here is going to be strong resistance, right about $22,200, and I'll show you this on the market profile in a minute as to why. Okay, this level here is resistance as well, right about $22,000, $22,200. Okay, these levels are the levels of resistance, and for me are basically the line in the sand if we are to go up, or basically this is an entry for a short. If I get stopped out on my short here and we continue higher, then I'm going to flip long, because I do think that we've got potential to testing the whole of this balance area here of the previous week's value. Does that make sense? So on the lower time frame, I'm looking at, this is a previous value, right? And we're currently inside of this one. So I'm looking at somewhere around about this area here for shorts, around about $22,000, $22,200. If we break above that and I get stopped out on my short, I'm quite happy to enter a long position, and I'll be targeting higher prices around about $23,500. However, if we do actually come all the way up to here and we start rolling over and confirm that this is resistance, of course I'm going to stay in my short, and I'll be targeting that level around about here, $21,000, $20,800, and potentially even lower, around about $19,600. So I hope this kind of makes sense here on the weekly chart, on the 1 hour chart with the weekly VWAP. Okay, so I'm just showing you previous values, right? There's a value area, there's a value area, right? So we're kind of in an imbalance right now. We're kind of like deciding what we're going to do. Are we going to come all the way up to here and print a short and go lower, right, and do something like this? Or are we going to go up to here, break above this, confirm it as support, and then shoot all the way up to here? Okay, that's what I want to see. Either way, I think we're on our way up right now, and I think we're going to see volatility to the upside first and foremost, just because the price is kind of like, it's not extended enough, right? If I was to put a Fibonacci retracement tool, which is here, and I go from this level here to the previous lows, and I'm going to put here the devil's pocket, right? You can see that the golden pocket, which is this level here, right, is sitting around about $21,800. Okay, which is the previous level of resistance here, previous level of support, which should now turn into resistance. So, and again, very close to that, to the current week's value area high. So again, I'm looking around about $21,800, $22,000 for resistance, and to look for a short. Break above that, and this is the line in the sand here, around about 22,200. If we break above that, then I think we're going to go much higher. Okay, so that's basically it on Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Exocharts and try and make some sense of this on the market profile, which I think it's actually easier to see what I'm looking at here right now. Okay, so here's where we are. This is today's price action. All right, you can see, let me just make this a little bit smaller so that you guys can see everything clearly. All right, I think this will do. So what we're talking about is really quite simple. I'm looking at around about $21,859. As you can see here, this is a volume point of control, and there's also a session VWAP that is untapped, that's naked. I'm looking at this level here for a short, so doing something like this and then going lower. This is basically what I think is going to happen. Volatility to the upside first, right? We tend to fade the first move when it comes out of the FOMC meeting, right? We tend to fade that, meaning that we tend to go against what the first impulse does, right? Which is basically the whipsaw. So this is basically the first level that I'm looking for shorts, right? If we break above that, then I'll immediately start going long, because I think $22,500, this level here, is potentially where we're going to next, okay? But of course, this should also be an interesting level for a short, but then we're getting very, very close to this naked point of control and this other VWAP close that's not been tested at $23,000. So I'm less reluctant to take a short here, right? I think for me, the real interest level for a short is right about here, if there is significant weakness in the market. If we go all the way up to this level here, then it's telling me that perhaps there is more bullishness in the market, and perhaps too much bullishness to be going short. Okay, so I'll be, even though it's a better entry, I'll be less inclined to take a short at this level here. I'll be more inclined to take a short here once we've corrected all of these moves, right? And the reason for that is because we've got some single prints here, right? We've got a naked point of control and a VWAP close around about $23,100, and we've also got a poor high at this level here, right? So this is kind of like it could be potentially a really decent short, but I don't want to be shorting this all the way up if we're bullish, right? So I'm interested in shorts here. If this fails, then I'll be quite happy to flip long and targeting these levels here, where I'll perhaps start looking for shorts, especially at the highest one here, around about $23,200. Okay, but looking at value, the weekly value, like I showed you on the candlestick charts, then I think that this level here, around about $22,000, is the level of interest for me. Okay, another reason for that is you can see that there's large positive delta here. There's also large positive delta here, where basically all these buyers are trapped, right? So these guys will want to get out of break even, but the first level is round about here. Okay, so this is the level that I'll be looking for. In terms of trap shorts, then we've got some trap shorts round about here, $20,800, which is that level of support, right? Which is a previous weekly level. And we've also got some trap shorts all the way back down here, right? We've also got some here, but we've already bounced there. You can see that this level here, these guys that were the negative delta that were trapped, when the price came back all the way down to here, they got out of break even, so it caused the price to move up. Now this one here is largely untested, and these guys were trapped short all the way down at around about $19,600. And you can see that we've also got naked VWAP closes, a naked point of control, and yet another naked session VWAP close there. All right, so this is basically what I'm seeing. If we look again at that positive delta, we're looking at these levels here. Right, you can see that there's a large delta, large positive delta that has been largely unvisited ever since we dumped. Right, we've also got a significant level here, around about $21,600. There's some apes that got in there and longed at the highs there, and basically it's largely untapped. It's not been revisited. Okay, so again, this could cause significant resistance. 21,600, 21,850, let's say $21,900, 22K is a significant level of resistance, especially with all this delta positive and everybody that went long here. Like I said, if we do go higher than this, then I'm looking at these levels here for targets, and maybe even these ones for targets. I'm not going to be shorting this all the way up, okay, like I just said. If we break above this, then I think we've got legs to go all the way up to here and potentially even here. But today is a very volatile day, and like I said, we could be doing something along the lines of going up like this, continuing up, do a proper short squeeze, go all the way up to here, and then just tank. Right, so we could also be doing something like this, going straight up and then straight back down again, right? Or we could be actually faking to the downside, bounce here where all these trap shorts are, and then go much higher, right? So at these levels here, I am kind of interested in a long position. Right, for scalps, this is for scalps. I'm not looking at swing trades here. I'm just looking at very quick in and out, take profit kind of trades, right? But I'm looking at this level for potential long, $20,800. where basically all these trap shorts are, or I'll be looking at this level here for a short where basically all these trap longs are, right? So essentially the move, I think I'm too late for this one here, although I could be wrong, but I think the move is going to be sort of like a quick wick to the upside here and then go much lower. That's basically what I'm seeing and what I think is going to happen, okay? But I'm happy to change my mind if we break this level. So I think I've waffled on enough about Bitcoin and what I'm seeing here. Like I said, you know, levels to the upside, we've got all these naked points of control. We've got this naked point of control, we've got this naked point of control, and levels to the downside, we've got this naked point of control here, $19,600, and these naked VWAPs as well, okay? So that's basically it for Bitcoin. There's not really much indication. I want to show you something actually. I wanted to show you this. This is basically BookMap, right? So BookMap is basically a heat map of what's happening in the markets, right? So these lines that you see here, I can change the color. I can put this as red. This is basically the offers, basically the sell orders that are sitting in the book, and these are the market orders below the price. Okay, this is where the price is, and these large bubbles that you see here, these bubbles that you see within the price, are basically market buys in green and market sells in red, right? So you can see that there was a flurry here of activity. There was basically a large buy here. You just autocorrect. There's a large buy. The price didn't move, right? So there's absorption going on, and we knew it was going to lower, so the price goes lower. Okay, here there was a large influx of sells. Here the price didn't go much lower either, right? There's a large market buy. The price didn't go higher either. Okay, well, it rallied a little bit, but nothing much, and we're still kind of going sideways here in anticipation of the meeting. Now, if I put this back to black and white, you can see that really, really clearly what's happening here is that these orders in the book, the large orders in the book, right, that you can see here on the right-hand side, are basically that they have no intention of getting filled. I could put the colors back on, actually. It makes it a little bit easier to see. Right? They have no intention of getting filled. And the reason for that I say that is that you see basically on these large market movements, I was looking at this earlier. Let's just see if I can show you. Maybe put it on the black and white again. Where was it? I'm trying to find where it was. I cannot see now. Aha, here we go. Right. Now, this is basically why I don't use heat maps very often, right? You can see that we've got some large buys sitting in the book, round about 21,200, right? There's a large market sell order that comes in, pushes the price to those orders, right? The orders that are sitting in the book, and guess what happens? Before the price even reaches that, these orders get pulled. Okay, so what's giving you an idea that we've got support underneath is in fact not support, but it's bait. Right, so the market comes all the way back down. These orders get pulled literally like seconds, if not just a few minutes before the market goes straight through that. Right, so the orders got pulled, they didn't get filled. This one get filled, right? These ones down here got filled. So this was bait. So whoever put these large orders here, this is basically a spoof, right? These get taken out, and basically somebody has got orders just below the whales, right? Just below this big market order here. Sorry, these large limits. And these get filled, right? These get tapped, right? So these get tapped, they're buy orders, no, naturally the price goes up, right? So the main point that I'm trying to show you here is that not always on the heat maps, when you see large orders here, they're not always actual orders. These are perhaps spoofs and basically just kind of bait in order to make people think that this is support, right? Of course, when the price goes up to it, they lower the bids, right? So you could see that these bids, for example, it could be the same bidder, right, that actually took the orders from here. He thought, oh, this is going to go much lower, and he put the bids down here, and he got filled at a lower price. This could potentially be the case, right? But you can see how we've got some more large orders much below here, and the price never got there, okay? And if you look at this historically, you can see that these large orders, and I'm going to put this back in color so that you can see the large orders here. Take some of the noise off. So these large orders in yellow and orange and red, they have no intention of filling. They follow the price. They don't intend to get filled at all, right? This is basically very quiet, and you know, and believe it or not, this is basically on CoinBase, by the way. This is basically the market maker, right? And if you the reason I tell you it's the market maker is because the market maker has to provide immediacy in the market. He has to have liquidity in the books in order to provide that the other side of your trade. So if a large player comes in and places a market order for a particular, you know, for going long or whatever, somebody has to sell that order. Now, what happens in volatile times like this, like for example, leading up to the FOMC meeting, what happens is that the market maker will pull all of his orders out of the book. And this is what causes the volatility, because now the markets will not have a boundary, if you like. So for example, if you don't believe this is the market maker, look at the size here. We've got 405 here in asks. Okay, 400, let's say 400 Bitcoin, around about $21,500. And if you look at the bids here, we've got 200 and another 200 here. So around about 400, right? So we've got 400 to the upside, 400 to the downside. This is basically the boundary that I'm talking about. The market maker has this in the book most of the time. What happens at volatile times is that he will take most of that liquidity out of the book because he doesn't want to get caught offside. If there is a large move or a large player that comes in, for example, like this one, that just puts a very large or a large enough market order to either side, buy or sell, it could potentially go all the way down, which means that the market maker will have to buy, right? And if it continues to go down, then what the market maker is now offside, right? So what they do is in highly volatile times, they pull the orders out of the book, and this is what causes extreme volatility, where basically the market goes up $1,000 and down $1,000 because there's fucking nothing in the book that is significant, right? So this is basically what I was trying to show you here, right? It's just very clear on the heat map, basically where the market maker is trading from. So 21,200 to 21,500, a very tight boundary, if you like. Okay, so 400 Bitcoin in asks, 400 Bitcoin in bids, and that's as simple as that. So I just wanted to show you that because there's no point of us looking at the charts and thinking the market maker is against us or whatever. The market maker is just providing liquidity there, and that's basically it. So again, without wanting to overcomplicate things too much, like I said, we do have where is it? We do have resistance around about here, $22,000. Okay, if we break above that, then I'm going long and we'll be targeting these levels here. So 22,500 and potentially around about $23,000. If my plan goes to plan, this here is a short and I'll be targeting $19,600. Okay, so wait for $22,000, short that, and look at $19,600 for a potential bounce. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin. So I'm sorry if that was a bit long-winded and perhaps overcomplicated, but I just wanted to sort of like show you what happens on BookMap. I just wanted to show you what happens with those orders. They don't always get filled, right? You could be looking at Trading Light or Tensor charts or even on BookMap, and you look at those big orders and you think, that's fucking support. I'm going to put my orders just in front of those whales. Well, those whales will move, or the market maker will move their orders lower and upper, and most of the time they have no intention of getting filled. Okay, they move up and down with the price. They're dynamic. They're not static. Okay, so that's basically the whole point of showing you this, right? You can see markets going up, so the bids go up, so the asks go up, and so do the bids. Right, the market goes down, they start putting the bids further down, and the asks come down as well. So it's just basically just following what price is doing. Look at this, right? They have no intention of getting filled. The only people that are getting filled is retail that are trying to front run these whales, or the market maker, or whoever it might be. Okay, so anyway, moving that out of the way, let's start on Ethereum, and we start with the Ethereum weekly. And the weekly chart on Ethereum is looking quite bullish here. And you can see that we've tested the value area low of 2021, right? We've tested that, we came above it, we retested the previous level of support here around about $1,400, okay? And now it looks like it wants higher. I'll put this on the 3-day chart, it's perhaps a little bit easier to see. Yeah, it is. Right, so here we are. We fell out of the 2021 value right here. We came back and retested that, and it had perfect confluence with the current year's value area low, right? So market goes in, comes back down, tests the edge, and now it's on its way up. So this looks bullish for Ethereum, okay? Potentially the target could be around about $2,200, around about here, $2,200. Just remember that $2,000 is a strong level of resistance, purely because it's a big round number, but also, as you can see, it was a previous level of support that have already got tested as resistance here, right? So $2,000 is definitely resistance, but $2,200 is ultimately the level of resistance that we want to be looking for, right? So this is round about here. You can see that there's two low volume nodes right there. So this is the current resistance where this low volume node is. If we break above this, which is around about $1,600, then I think we've got potential to going all the way to the yearly VWAP, 2022 VWAP, around about $2,200. That's basically what I'm seeing on the higher time frame for Ethereum. So let's dig down and look at the lower time frames. And here on the daily, you can see that we had a previous range high here. Okay, this is the range low, right? We rallied above. We didn't even test this as support here. Rallied above, and basically we bounced on this order block here. Large impulse move, a little bit of consolidation. We've left an order block there. The price retraces, comes straight down to this order block, and it bounces there. So this is fairly bullish, okay? In fact, it's very bullish. But what I worry about is the fact that we didn't even test this previous range high, okay? So round about $1,300, okay? Now, we might not even test that. It might be so bullish that we just carry on up from here. But like I said, this previous level of support and this previous level of support here are the levels that you should be looking for. So round about $1,750 and round about $2,000, okay? Round about there. All right, so this is basically where we're struggling here with this resistance, which is where this low volume node is, between $1,650 and $1,700. Okay, so this is resistance at the moment. If we break above this one, then we go on to the next level, and we perhaps be accepted inside of this high volume cluster here. Okay, so that's on the daily chart. If we look at this on the 4-hour chart, okay, that's that range high. Like I said, we didn't actually come as low as that. We bounced on this little FTR here, or this order block, if you like. We bounced here, and now we're trying to get acceptance above, right? Again, this level here should be a significant level of resistance, right about $1,800, all right? I'm going to look at this like I usually do, which I didn't do for some reason. I didn't do it today, and that's because I'm on the wrong chart. Let's have a look at this one on Bybit, right? Here we are. So this was, we put this on the 3-day chart here. You can see this is the value area low of 2021, right? On the Bybit chart, you can see that it tapped the current value area low, and we got rejected there. Not a very strong rejection as that, but it's definitely a rejection there. You can see the large volume cluster here, the large volume node around about $1,800. So this is resistance until proven otherwise. If we break above that, then I think we've got a fairly clear target around about $2,400. Okay, I was looking at CoinBase, so I do apologize for that. So let's just restart this. So if we break above $1,800, and we can basically break this previous level of support, which is now resistance, right? Go all the way up to here and continue lower. This is what I expect it to happen. However, if we break above this, the next level of resistance will be around about here, $2,400. Okay, but like I said, this is resistance until proven otherwise. So resistance for Ethereum round about $1,800. Okay, now you can see it also very clearly that this is a high volume cluster here, right, with a low volume node here on the edge, right? These edges tend to provide very, very strong resistance, and this is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. So in the event that the FOMC meeting comes and provides volatility, if the volatility going to the upside, I expect this level to act as resistance. So we could be doing something like this, go all the way up here and then continue lower. If the plan is the same as Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does what I expect it to do, that's what I expect to see on Ethereum. $1,800 as resistance, and then the price goes much lower. However, like I said, if we break above this convincingly and we confirm that this is indeed support, then the next target will be around about here, $2,400. Okay, if I look at balance areas, and if you guys don't know, basically these rectangles are just a representation of where these high volume clusters are and the low volume nodes, and it's just the edges of balance, right? So let me just take that volume profile off. Now you can see that we're struggling here at resistance, right? So if we can get acceptance above here, then I think we've got a very clear run to go all the way to $2,000, or at least maybe even the yearly VWAP around about $2,400. Okay, but this is going to be resistance here for sure. However, if we cannot get acceptance above here, then I think that the next level of support will be all the way down. I mean, it just means that basically we kind of like get accepted back inside of this range here, and we're going to go much lower to around about $1,000, and that's basically what I'm saying. Okay, so this is resistance until proven otherwise, maybe even this level here, around about $1,800. If I put the volume profile back on, you can see what I mean here with this high volume node. Right, so up to the upside, fake it to the upside like this, and then acceptance back below means that we go to $1,000. If that's not the case and we actually get acceptance above here, then I think the next targets will be $2,000, and then moving up to $2,400, and then this level here will have to hold as support, and this will be the new range, with this being resistance of around about $2,800 and $2,000 as being support, right, with this yearly VWAP being basically the point of control. All right, so essentially what we're seeing here is an attempt to get acceptance inside of this range. Right, now we've tested the other side of the balance here, the previous balance, and that's confirmed it as support. So this is bullish, right? But we still have to accept above these highs, right? So if you've taken a long position here, then I'd be very careful now around about this $1,700 level, okay, this previous high. This is potentially the best level that you can either exit your trade or take profits, right? Of course, you can continue higher, but we can also just do something like this and then continue lower, right? So we just have to wait and see. Either way, the edge of balance here, round about 1600 or 1700, should be resistance. Okay, so and that's basically it. We're trying to get acceptance back inside of here. If we get acceptance inside of here, let me just take this off. Right, this will be the new balance area here. Right, with this level here being the go and seek new balance, and the new balance will clearly be this one here, which is the previous balance area here. We'll round about the point control, which is previous resistance that could act as support, round about in the middle of that, and that means that if we get accepted back inside the value of this previous value, then we'll probably test the value area high here, confirm it as resistance, and we go and test the other side of balance, which is round about here. Okay, so I hope this kind of makes sense, and it kind of puts together the idea that the VWAPs and the volume profile kind of have a lot in common, right? So that's basically what I'm trying to illustrate here. Okay, will we get acceptance inside of this one, or will we get acceptance back inside of this one? At the moment, we're in an imbalance area, right? Acceptance above means we go to the other side. Acceptance below means that we go to the other side. So it's as simple as that. Right, so if we look at Exocharts, let me have a look at Ethereum and see if we can find any confluent levels or levels of interest here. Interestingly, we've got a naked point of control here around about $1,523. Okay, so there's an anomaly to the upside. All right, and once we've taken that, we got the value area high here around about $1,700. Okay, we've got that big sort of high volume cluster around about $1,800, right? We've also got a naked point of control all the way up at $2,000. If we are to be bullish, that's basically where we're going, $2,000. However, if we take this level here and we continue lower, so if we do something like I was saying, we do something like this and then continue lower, then I'm looking at around about $1,200 as potential support here, which is a point of control of the whole range thing. But essentially, I'll be looking at around about these naked points of control, which is around about $1,000, okay, as the next target. And that's basically it here for the volume profile on the day. If I look at the market profile, let's just see if we can find any levels of confluence here. The first thing that sticks out to me is that we've left a naked point of control here at $1,400 and also a poor low around about $1,350, right? Okay, so this rectangle is basically the range that we were at, and like I said, we hadn't even tested the range highs here for support, right? You can see that basically all of these, there's no poor highs above, right? There's some single prints from previously around about $1,700, and this goes all the way back to June the 10th. But other than that, all of these highs are have got excess. They're all decent highs, right? But we do have a naked point of control, like I said, around about $1,500. All right. So there's a volume naked point of control there, and what I expect the price to do, I'll explain this again here on the volume profile, is perhaps go something like this and then go lower. Right, I know it looks like it's not possible, that shouldn't be happening, but that's basically what I expect it to happen, right? It's as simple as that, and that's basically it. I mean, there's not really much else to be said other than the fact that we've left loads of anomalies. Let me just delete this one here. We left loads of anomalies to the downside, right? So we've got some single prints here. Let me just do this again. We got the single prints here. We've got a naked point of control, a time-based naked point of control around about $1,200. We've got more single prints below around about $1,150, right? We've got another naked point of control here, a time-based at $1,100, and we've got those two volume naked points of control at around about $1,000. And interestingly enough, around about $960, we've got a time-based point of control as well that is naked, that is to be untapped, right? So we've got plenty of anomalies to the downside. To the upside, most of the anomalies have been corrected apart from this naked point of control here. So let's just wait and see what happens. But like I said, do expect volatility, especially as the market maker removes his liquidity from the markets, from the books, I mean, and undoubtedly will exacerbate that volatility, right? So that's basically what we're seeing here for Ethereum. And there's no point of me charting any altcoins, because basically if Bitcoin goes up, the altcoins will go up. If Bitcoin goes down, everything will go down. So you know, if Bitcoin is dumping, or if the S&P and the Nasdaq are dumping, you might as well go short on everything, right? And if everything starts pumping, then you might as well go long on everything. It's as simple as that. I've already done a technical analysis update for the altcoins on Monday. I'll do another one on Friday, just because I usually do a higher time frame. So you should have plenty of information there to keep you going for the rest of the week. But there's no point of doing a midweek technical analysis update on altcoins, especially when a volatile day is just looming like this. Now, I can definitely chart Ethereum versus BTC, and you can see that Ethereum is still outperforming Bitcoin, right? And the most significant thing is that we did finally break above this yearly VWAP, right? So this is on the weekly. Let me put this on the 3-day. You can see that we targeted this previous level here, which is basically a trend line that comes all the way from June, right? And we got kind of stumped here with this yearly VWAP, the current year VWAP 2022, right? But we managed to stay above it. can see large absorption here with the upside, with the with that long wick here, right? And the price is moving up, so it wants to break above this level here and reclaim this this trend line. If we do so, the next level of resistance will be this one here, around about 74,000 sats, and potentially even higher, around about 80,000 sats, which is where this order block is here, right? And you can see here from previous value, got this level here, which is exactly at 80,000 sats, around about there, right? And we've also got this level here, around about 85,000 sats. So let's translate that into lines so that it's easier to see. So in fact, let me just move this a little bit lower like this. There we are. Okay, so 74,000 sats is basically the value area high of this VWAP here, as you can see here, right? The developing years VWAP. This is going to be resistance, right? So there we are, 73,767 sats. Okay, let's say 74,000 sats. 81,000 sats could be resistance as well. And if we continue higher than that, then I'm afraid that there's not much in the way of price. I mean, there's a little bit there, but there's really not much there. So if it does something like this, then it's in price discovery mode and it will go much, much higher. However, if Ethereum starts going lower, much lower than Bitcoin, and it loses momentum, which I don't think it will, because this is definitely indicative that we're outperforming Bitcoin, right? Parabolic move up to the next level of resistance. So if they both dump with this FOMC meeting, but Ethereum holds up better, then we're going to continue up here, right? This is just in relation to Bitcoin. So either way, Ethereum is looking a lot more bullish than Bitcoin, okay? We want to be staying above this level here, 68,000 sats, right? Like I said, levels of resistance 74, 80,000 sats, and maybe even 85,000 sats as the next levels of resistance. Levels of support, however, I want to be looking at this one here, around about 64,000 sats, which is where this low volume node is. But essentially what I'm looking for right now is that we've accepted inside of this range here. And as such, we should be rotational between these two levels here. Okay, so if I was to take all of this off, right, I want to be I think we are rotational inside of these two levels here. Basically is inside this high volume cluster, right? If we lose this level here, then I'm afraid we're going all the way back down to here. If we break above this level here, then I'm afraid we're going all the way up to here. So, you know, there's not really much else to be said on Ethereum versus BTC, but that's essentially it. We're inside of this high volume cluster now. This here is support, which is this level here, right? And this here could be potentially resistance, maybe a little bit higher, which is the edge of this high volume cluster there, right? And that's essentially it. So we could be rotating here for quite some time now, just like we did here for weeks and weeks on end, right? So we could be rotating there for quite some time. So that's on Ethereum versus BTC, and Ethereum is definitely looking a lot stronger than Bitcoin. So if you're planning to go long on anything, or if you're planning to hold something in terms of long term, I think Ethereum is the one. Now, there's all these narratives about the merge and that it's going to happen in September, etc. I think that's going to be a sell the news type of event. You know, buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. But it shouldn't make a difference of what the price of Ethereum is. Ethereum is basically highly correlated with Bitcoin, and whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum will do. If Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum goes down. If Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up. Of course, Ethereum is looking a lot stronger in the sense where there's catching a lot more bids than Bitcoin. Simple as that. Now, of course, everything is correlated to the S&P, which is where I started this technical analysis update. So everything depends on the fucking traditional markets. So we have to keep an eye on that, unfortunately, right? So again, just keep an eye on the S&P. It does look like it wants to reach up. It's reaching up in anticipation of good news coming out of the Federal Reserve. Okay, but the closer we get to resistance, the more likely it is that we're going to dump. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, expect volatility, right? I'm going to sort of like draw it for you here, right? If it comes out, if the Fed comes out with 75 basis points or less, then this is likely to rally. And the whipsaw tends to be something like this, right? And then comes straight back to value again. This is usually what we see happening. However, it does look like it wants to go up here, right? So naturally Bitcoin is going up as well. If the Federal Reserve comes out with more aggressive stance and comes out with 100 basis points, you can almost guarantee that this is going to react negatively, right? So even if it goes up first, it'll most likely go further down like this. If the FOMC comes out with 75 basis points or less, we could see a little move to the downside first and then rally to the upside, okay? Either way, almost always, and this is not financial advice, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor or an expert in macro things, but what I've noticed and by observing these meetings is that usually the first move almost always needs to be faded, and it's the wrong move, right? So whatever the first move is, for example, if we're going down, usually goes to resistance first and then goes down, right? So it takes out the liquidity above the previous highs and then goes down. If it's bullish, then it'll almost always go down first, take that liquidity, and then go up. Right, so the first move is always kind of to be faded, but nothing is absolute in the markets. So my advice to you is stay out of it. Maybe if you're not a very experienced trader, if you're not scalping, if you haven't got quick fingers, just stay out of it and wait until the daily close and just see what happens then. But like I said, 7 p.m. UK time, around about 6 p.m. UTC, we're expecting very high volatility in the markets and the whole market as a whole, basically. And we expect sort of a strong large candles going to either side because the market maker will remove these orders from the books. So it's as simple as that. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that it kind of like helped you understand better the dynamics of the market and also help you stay on the right side of the market. Just to recap on Bitcoin, I'm really looking at this area here, 21,800, 22,200, something like that. Right? Looking about this area here for a short. Right, so market go like that, and then it's going to target much lower at $19,600. If, however, we get above these levels, okay, and this stops me out, right, and we go higher, and it looks like it wants to go higher, acceptance back above $22,200 means that I will be going long, and I'll be targeting much higher prices, around about $23,000, okay, and potentially this one here, around about $22,800. All right, that's essentially it. There's nothing really much more to it other than that, right? So this level here is a crucial level at round about $22,000, and that's all you need to know, right? Support round about $19,600. That's the target for my short. If we break above this and we go higher, I'm looking at $23,500 as the next level of resistance. All right, and potentially $22,800 as a take profit, and that's essentially it. So without further ado, I hope that you guys make money in this market. I will have another technical analysis update for you guys on Friday. Well, I will cover the DeFi coins as well. But I hope this was helpful. Don't get caught out in the large whipsaw that we might see from the market, right? Don't get stopped and don't like death by paper cut kind of thing. Maybe just stay out of it and just observe the price and just kind of like see what happens, right? Either way, like I said before, it does look like we're back inside of this range. Okay, so a rally all the way up to here around about $22,000 would be basically the basis for my short, right? And basically accepted back inside of the range and be targeting these lows down here, right? Which is what I've been saying for such a long time now. Acceptance back inside it, right? So you can see this is the level there, right about $22,000. So rally up to here and then going lower is what I expect the price to do. Break above this, and of course I'll be targeting these levels here and maybe even this level here. All right, that's it for me. I'll have another TA update for you guys on Friday. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. In the meantime, trade smart, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.